Welcome back, one and all, to the Horror Returns. I'm Lance. With me, as always, we've got Philip and Brian, of course, but it's Cage Rage week. We got a new Nicolas Cage film out. So obviously that means we're joined by Bede. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
So, sorry, Bede's not here today. It's only Nicolas Cage.
Where's
Oh
the
my
Boston
God.
accent?
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, that's right.
I'm from Boston.
Oh, there you go.
Where's me
That
hot dogs and Red
that
Sox?
about nailed it.
But
Oh
anyways,
man,
yes, I'm
Bede.
here.
Yeah, always good to have you, man. The man of 1,000 podcasts. What all do you have going on?
Oh, geez. What am I not doing, guys? Pretty much like I'm doing all the shows over on the Super Network with Super Marcy. So we have like 5 shows over there. Then, of course, I have my solo show, Beat vs. the Living Dead, and that show has 3 spin-offs at the moment. And
Okay.
I can confirm, or I cannot confirm or deny there may be at least another 2 in the works as well. So
Good Lord.
I'm just a podcasting machine, guys. I don't even know how I even have a day job to fit all this stuff in as well.
Thought that was your
Yeah,
day job.
I guess we thought that was your day job, man.
Oh, I wish I will. I don't get paid enough money for this podcasting work, even though I would love that I did. But it's fun to just do as it is, and and plus I can't complain with my actual day job because I get paid a lot for that too. So
There it is. Go give Bede some money, guys. Check out the Super Network.
eh, that, and also the Beat versus the Living Dead Patreon if people wanted to
Yeah, there you
support
go.
me there too. So there you go.
Of course, of course. Yeah, it's To Be Tuesdays, man. It's really become a phenomenon. I mean, what started out small, it's like now it's like basically a radio play every time you guys come on. You've got so many characters.
Mhm.
Your end of year awards are just a delight. So how is it that To Be Tuesdays has become an icon?
Well, I think essentially because when we started that show, it was like during the pandemic, and that's when Tubi kind of first popped up everywhere. But now it's kind of funny in the past 5 years since doing the show how popular Tubi has become everywhere, and the fact that and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn because we do a show on Tubi, but I have to say that Tubi is probably one of the best streaming services out there because they have everything on it. And now I'm sort of starting to notice like even movies that were like exclusives on other streaming services are now starting to pop up on Tubi. Like I was going through it the other day, and VHS 94 is on Tubi now, and that's a Shutter original film. So it's
That's right.
weird. So it's weird that it's starting. Movies are starting to pop up there. And the fact that it's free too is also makes it even better. But I guess with the show itself, it's kind of funny how it's kind of just evolved from being a few friends watching a movie together and poking fun at it. And now we've developed an entire mythology and lore with characters and storylines and everything as well. I mean, even last year, as you mentioned before, Lance, we did a Christmas special and we made that into an actual radio play. So it's been a weird time for the show, but it's actually, I would say, is what makes the show unique is that yeah, it's still doing commentaries on films that are on Tubi, but we just have like skits and sketches and stuff like that. So it's fun for us. Although we've had the occasional negative review of people not seeming to enjoy that type of aspect, but I think if you
Oh,
really
come
kind of
on.
yeah, I think if you get on the show's wavelength and embrace it, then yeah, I think it's a lot of fun for anyone. I mean, I find that hilarious, especially when I listen back to a show and hear all the insanity that happens on the To Be Tuesdays podcast.
The internet
Yeah, I
is a
think Sony.
cesspool for negativity, man.
Exactly, exactly. And although we have called out that person on who left us the negative review on the show, we're not bitter.
Uh
We're not bitter on the
oh.
show.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. I think Sony should have taken some cues from your Craven character. I think you guys pull Craven off much better than Sony did.
I mean, we definitely do. And don't ask me why. For some bizarre reason, he has now turned his nightclub into a church.
As will happen. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
He was born again.
Exactly. And there's weird characters. We've had sex robots. We have a gorilla on the show called Harambe Jones, who's a bouncer. Then we have a cannibal bartender. Like, there are weird oddball characters on the show. And also Marcy has exactly. And also now Marcy has like a baby clone of herself who just keeps trying to bite my ankles on every episode. Now saying all this stuff out loud, I can imagine all your listeners are like, what the fuck type of podcast is this? You just have to go listen to it and find out, people.
Yeah, easy to find out. All right, Bede, you know how the show works, man. We start off with a little thing called Cool of the Week. And we haven't heard from you in a while, so you may have a few. You're more than welcome to go crazy, like Brian does, if you've seen a lot.
Oh,
I think Brian has this week. We'll find out.
Well, I've seen quite a lot, but in terms of like the top stuff that I've been watching this past week, I've done a rewatch of the entire Karate Kid film series. So I've been watching that, especially now that the new one is coming out. So I wanted to revisit the whole franchise. So I watched all 5 films, and also gave me an excuse to go.
5 of them?
Yeah, there's 5 movies in the franchise.
Okay.
And now there's
there were even more for some reason. Okay.
Well, the one that's coming out at the end of the month is the 6th installment, and I'm very much looking forward to that. But another reason why I wanted to kind of go back and watch the films was to finally get around to watching Cobra Kai, because I still haven't watched the entire series yet. So I'm going to attempt to watch the whole show in the lead up to the movie. So I'm going to be attempting that next week. But in terms of other movies that I've watched, I saw the film Drop, the thriller, and I really dug it. Like, it's a good old fashioned sort of high concept thriller that kind of reminds me of the ones you used to get in like the 90s, like Red Eye or Phone Booth. And I really enjoyed.
I can see that. Yeah.
Or Cellular.
Yeah, exactly. Cellular. And so I enjoyed that sort of nostalgic kind of flavor of that, and I thought it was pretty well done. Then I also saw Thunderbolts, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thunderbolts is really good. It's like, I know a lot of people kind of consider the MCU in the last few years to be a bit of a mixed bag, but I would definitely say Thunderbolts is definitely up there as one of the strongest movies from this phase of the franchise, because even though it does still deliver on all the things we enjoy from the MCU, it actually does some pretty interesting things with its stories and ideas. So there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff going on in this film. But I have to say, without a doubt, my actual cool of the week is definitely Sinners. Really love the Sinners a lot.
Nice.
But it is, I would say it's definitely Ryan Coogler's best film, and I've enjoyed all of his movies so far, but you could definitely tell he's firing on all cylinders with this one, and it's just a great film, and probably definitely up there as one of the best vampire films in recent memory as well. So yeah, those are all my watches this past week. But yeah, if I had to pick my absolute cool of the week, it's definitely Sinners. It's probably my favorite movie of the year so far.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm gonna go non-horror this week, guys. I'm way late to the party. Brian, I think you've seen this, The Righteous Gemstones.
I've seen episode 1 of season 1.
That's
it.
I've seen part of that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Bede, have you seen it?
I have not seen Righteous Gemstones, but I've been meaning to, though.
Okay. It's a lot of fun. A lot of guest stars show up, and you know, who doesn't like to make fun of mega churches, right? So, but it's so much more than that. A lot of continuing stories, a lot of side characters, a lot of characters that have strange reasons for doing what they're doing. But we binged through the first episode's an hour, but after that they're about 30 minutes. So binge through the first season, no problem. I think we got 3 more to go. So yeah, Righteous Gemstones. It's the guys that brought you the Halloween trilogy, but they're much better sticking with comedy. So we'll go with Righteous Gemstones this week.
Yeah, Kenny Powers, is that his name?
Yeah, Kenny Powers.
I like him. Oh man, I cannot think of a single cool of the week that I have this week. The only thing that I can think of that I've watched, and I shouldn't even say it, but my wife has been stuck on Dance Moms, and I'm getting way too into it.
Oh God,
that is the only thing that I think of, that I can think of that I've actually watched this week. I haven't had a lot of time.
Oh my God.
I may think of something later on in the episode. I shouldn't even have mentioned that. I don't know why I said that.
You haven't sat and watched any paint dry or anything, Philip? I mean, come on.
No, man.
I mean,
Christ.
Working in kids' sports stuff, dude, every day.
I mean, I could make fun of you for that, like Phil, but at the same time, when it's on, I actually am kind of obsessed with Married at First Sight here in Australia. So I know the meaning. It is the car crash you just can't look away from.
It's like these little girls, and they get like really competitive over it, and they're like, "You didn't make the cut, get the fuck out." And I'm like,
wow,
that makes sense. Except they're like 8, so.
Oh my God. Okay, I think Brian's gonna have to save us here.
Let me get the horror movies out that I watched first.
Okay.
First one I watched was Screamboat, starring a friend of the show, David Howard Thornton.
Screamboat?
Yeah.
It's
I don't even know what this
is. It's based off of Steamboat Willie, the Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
It's exactly what you think it is.
Okay.
Without me getting into it.
Okay.
That makes sense.
They lean heavy into the comedy. A lot of the kills are practical. When I say they lean heavy into the comedy, there's like cartoon sound effects and things like that.
Jesus Christ. Sounds great.
Terrifier killing people is Mickey.
Yes.
And second horror movie I watched this week, was a new one on Screenbox called Project MK Hex. If you guys ever heard of it.
Sounds right up your alley, Philip.
MK Ultra.
If you ever heard of MK, then you pretty much know the basic premise of the movie. It's found footage.
Huh.
I can't really recommend this one too much. It was a little too talky. Cool idea. Too much talking before anything really happens. You kind of, at least for me, I kind of really was checked out by the time stuff was starting to happen.
Well, there was that one that we
Okay.
watched.
Well-
I think we reviewed it, and like they had people that they would like stick them on drugs, and they would jump into like a different dimension or whatever. I can't remember the name of the movie.
Was that the one Ted Levine was in?
I'm not sure, but that
I
was
might be thinking of a different one.
that was
Bede, you might
basically
know.
MK Ultra, man. They would just hook people up to like DMT and shit, and just let them
Check
stay
that
high as
spreadsheet, Lance.
balls for like 2 days. Let them live in a different dimension, man. That's the one where you meet God.
I think that might be the Banshee chapter, but I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on that.
I think that was it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
What else did I check out? I checked out The Accountant 2 with Ben Affleck and John Bernthal.
Oh, okay.
Really fun sequel. I kind of didn't like it was a little bit more comedic. Like if you know Ben Affleck's condition, he's autistic, so he's not really personable and stuff like that. But I understand they're trying to get his character to grow, but it was just a little too comedic. And then John Bernthal's character was a little too comedic for me, even though John Bernthal's character is awesome in it. But it's a decent sequel. Person. Well, he was in this one. He did have me laugh.
Not as the Punisher. Okay.
But Lance, I have 2 cools of the week.
Nice. All right.
First
To
one in
eclipse
the
Dance Moms. All right.
No,
first
wait, I've
one
got
is
another one. He reminded
Thunderbolts.
me, but I'll let go ahead, Brian.
First one
Thunderbolts.
is Thunderbolts. I thought it was completely a blast.
Nice.
Probably one of the best MCU movies in a long time.
So better than the Black Widow one?
Yes.
Yeah, that was garbage.
They for to me, for characters that were pulled from different movies, you didn't really need to know a whole lot about them because they spoke about their backstory and you got to know each character, and most of the characters shined in it, especially Florence Pugh as Yelena. This was her like standout performance in the MCU as far as I'm concerned. And
she's pretty standout and everything.
Yeah.
She's got the acting chops.
Pretty solid stories. I think it didn't rely on Easter eggs or putting a bunch of other characters in there. And pretty cool end credit scene. That's where the story should move forward, not throwing a whole bunch of stuff during the main movie. You should get the stuff moved forward in the end credit scene.
Yep.
Okay.
And then my other cool of the week is Alex Garland's Warfare.
Oh, I've heard great things.
It's it's out there.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
in
based
the theater.
off. I forgot. No, it's available to rent now.
Ah, okay.
I forgot the soldier's name, but it's based off of his memories, and it just takes place of them doing like a sniper ops mission, and they get attacked, and that's basically the whole movie is that one sequence, and it's got
wow, almost like a real time thing.
Yeah, it's only like an hour and a half, and it builds up the tension because you're starting out with them, and they're kind of waiting, checking snipers, checking who they're watching through the scopes, and the tension builds up, and then everything starts to go down. And I thought everybody was great in it. Who was in it? Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things, Will Poulter. Michael Gandolfini was in it.
Okay.
Tony Soprano's son. Real son.
Yeah, the one that's in Daredevil.
Yeah, gotcha. He was in it. A lot of recognizable faces in it. And it might be one of my favorite movies of the year.
Wow. Nice. So, Brian, did you get the impression that maybe this was a real story that he kind of followed when he was putting the script together for Civil War? Was there any, feeling like that?
I feel like it's kind of separate from that. And from what I understand, the script was written by the main soldier in the movie.
Oh, cool. All right.
It's based off of his memories of a mission that they were in. And just the way it was just the way it was shot, I felt like I was there. I felt tense. Just like before everything went down, you just had this feeling like something bad was going to happen, and it just put you right there in that position. And 100% recommend that.
Okay.
Warfare. It's got to be on our list, Philip.
All right. Well, that actually that reminded me of two of them actually that I watched this week. So I'm going to redeem myself here.
All right.
Ignore Dance Moms. That didn't happen.
Thank God.
All right. The Death of a Unicorn. I did watch that. Not as good as I wanted it to be, but it was solid. It was all right.
Yeah.
And I watched a movie called The Night Clerk. It's got Ty Sheridan, who is an autistic kid, which Brian reminded me of with The Accountant. And he's like a night clerk at a hotel, and he witnesses a murder because he has all these cameras posted up around the hotel that he uses just to watch people so that he could, like, he's got Asperger's, but like legit Asperger's. And and he like watches them to learn how to interact with people, like to learn how to talk, basically, and have normal conversations.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
he's great idea.
He's kind of out there. Anna de Armas is in it. She's naked in a scene, which is great.
Oh,
so there's
Gold.
that. Yeah,
always nice.
Not long, but she's gorgeous.
Okay.
And it was a really good movie. It's kind of a murder mystery with a cool little twist at the end, and I liked it. It was a little more straightforward than I expected. I kind of wanted something more, but I liked the ending. I like where it went.
Nice. All right, so we ended on a high note. No dance bombs, huh?
No. We'll
erase from our memory.
Yeah, we'll get rid of that one.
Okay,
that's never gonna go
away. All right, Bede. That means it is now time for horror headlines, brought to you by Brian. Take it away.
All right, the Godzilla Kong sequel gets a title and a release date. It's going to be titled Godzilla Kong Supernova. And it gets a release date of July, where'd it go? July 2027.
Okay. Sunshine Supernova, huh?
Well, I think based on the Supernova subtitle, because I did see that this morning, I'm going to assume that it has to be something space related, because in the original Godzilla
space.
Well, I mean, there was a
space sold.
Well, I mean, in the Godzilla films, there was a movie called Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. So I mean, he did fight aliens. I mean,
and they did allude to in Godzilla King of Monsters that King Ghidorah was not from this world.
Well, there you go.
Interesting.
Dan Stevens extracting aliens' teeth.
Exactly.
As long as he's in it, I'm happy.
Oh, he's coming back, and Sam Neill from Jurassic Park is in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Sam Neill.
Caitlin Dever from The Last of Us, and she was also in that movie. I don't know if we reviewed it. I think we all talked about it. The No One Can Hear You. The alien invasion movie where the main character doesn't say anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great movie. Do you like that one, Bede?
Yeah, well, that was a pretty good one, especially being that it basically was a silent movie throughout most of it.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Strange ending, right?
Definitely.
At least there's something different.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, Cineverse is back to rescue another film. Of course, we know Cineverse is the distribution company that puts out the Terrifier movies. They saved the Toxic Avenger and putting that out in theaters, and they've now rescued Return to Silent Hill. They've acquired it for United States theatrical release.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Which Return to Silent Hill, I believe, has been finished filming over a year ago.
Now they just need to get it out there.
Not a great sign, but we'll see.
Well, the Toxic Avenger got good reviews through the film festival, and that didn't get a release date.
Yeah, I mean,
Bede needs to call his Uncle Lloyd to jump in and save the day.
Well, I mean, when Uncle Lloyd came on our show, not to toot my own horn, we did talk about the Toxic Avenger remake, but that was like 2 years before.
Sure,
actually
2 years ago.
2 years before it could finally come out. So it's great that Cineverse, like, using all that Terrifier money and going in and rescuing all these movies, or at least like ones that no other studio wants to touch, or if they're too weird or just too violent, and just releases them. And the fact that they're doing that with Return to Silent Hill, which from what I understand is going to be a faithful adaptation of the second game in the series. So, and Christoph Gaines, who directed the first Silent Hill film, is back for this one. So I'm definitely excited to kind of go back into that world. And this will definitely be a pretty high profile project for him, being that it is a video game movie.
Yeah, I mean, if they can really capture what the game had, then sold. The first movie didn't quite.
Yeah, not so much. No, no chicken jockey, huh?
It's all right, but like I remember playing the games, and man, it gave you a feeling because it was creepy as hell. And
yes.
the movie was good, but it wasn't that.
All right, Lance. We got some news right up your alley. Do you guys remember we talked about
Right.
M. Night Shyamalan was going to direct a original story from the Notebook writer Nicholas Sparks?
Yes, I do remember that.
The title of the movie is called Remain. It will star Jake Gyllenhaal, and it gets an October 2026 release date.
Well,
It's
we
being
saw what
called
he
a
did with Josh
supernatural
Hartnett.
Like
romance movie.
Halloween time. Okay, well, we'll check it out. We'll reserve judgment, right?
Yeah, and I gave that Josh Hartnett movie way too good of a score. I think when
Yeah, you did.
Trap deserves the highest scores as possible.
Oh, come on.
I still say in the right movie, Josh Hartnett as a serial killer.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
That was not the
But
right
that
movie.
wasn't the right movie.
Well, I think well, that's the big, like, the idea of M. Night Shyamalan and Nicholas Sparks teaming up for a movie sounds like bizarre, so strange. But then I always remember, like, Nicholas Sparks does have a habit of using twists in his movies.
Ah, okay.
And
right,
it's either that or it's either that or somebody always dies at the end. That's the kind of the hallmarks I always get from a Nicholas Sparks story.
Yes.
And we'll finish things off with more news for Lance. Your favorite director, Eli Roth, next movie is going to be titled The Ice Cream Man, and it's going to be, according to him, his most insane and terrifying theatrical movie to date.
I hope it's got David Lee
But
Roth.
doesn't he always say that? You hope what? I'm David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
Wolfgang Van Halen.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, he says this has nothing to do with the Clint Howard Ice Cream Man movie that came out before, but if you read the synopsis, it sounds like the Clint Howard Ice Cream Man movie.
It's a stealth. I'm putting it out there. It's a stealth remake of that movie.
I think you're probably going to be right. Yeah,
it's not so stealthy. they named it the same thing.
Yes, either it's a remake or the makers behind the original Ice Cream Man are going to sue somebody.
Yeah.
And that is the news.
All right. Bede, you're near Melbourne, aren't you? Or are you in Melbourne?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia, while you're in Melbourne, Florida.
Yeah. Well, we have
small world.
We have miles. We have miles and miles of these here, but do they have any trailer parks in Melbourne, Australia?
Oh, totally. We have trailer parks down here, although we call them caravan parks instead.
Caravan parks.
Yeah, like caravans.
So we're all gonna go.
Hey, you like dags?
We're gonna take a trip down to the caravan park. Brian is going to bring us the big, the small, and sometimes the very, very weird. What is the first new one tonight, Brian?
First one is Dangerous Animals from IFC Films, and also it will eventually come to Shudder. It is directed by Sean Byrne, stars Hassie Harrison and Jai Courtney as a shark-obsessed serial killer.
Okay.
Shark obsessed.
This will start with Bede. What did you think of Dangerous Animals?
Well, I mean, I did just watch the trailer just before jumping on to record, and I gotta say I'm down for this. And I like the. I mean, shark movies are. There's always like a billion shark movies every year, but I always like it when one tries to do something a little different. So throwing in a serial killer element with Jai Courtney's character definitely has me very intrigued, and it looks like Jai Courtney is going all in on the insanity impartment on this character. And The fact that Sean Bird, who did The Loved Ones and The Devil's Candy, is another reason I'm very much looking forward to watching this film, because this is like his first film since The Devil's Candy. So he always makes movies like in big stretches in between, like every 5 or more years he makes a movie. So I'm very excited to see this one. And based on like even early word that I've heard about this movie, it's actually really good. So I'm down for this. And also, it's an Aussie film, so I'll be there for sure.
And Bede, it's been 10 years since his last film.
Yes.
Wow. It's about as often as a Tool album comes out.
He's the horror equivalent of Terrence Malick. He'll just come out every decade with a new movie.
George R. Martin.
I mean,
books.
I think Sean Byrne will release his fourth movie before like George R. Martin released The Winds of Winter.
Probably.
Lance, what'd you think?
I'm all in. First thing I did was I had to forward this over to our friend Tim Davis, because I know he's all about this. This will be right up his alley. Sharks, Australia, serial killers. Come on, that's the hat trick for
That's
Tim.
just another Tuesday in Australia.
Exactly. This looks amazing. This looks really fucking amazing. I'm super in, and very original idea. Can't wait.
Bill?
Yeah, I think this is kind of what Jai Courtney is built for. I don't know that he has really performed the way that he should have in the last few movies that he's been in. But this seems like it fits him. I have great expectations for this one.
All right. Dangerous Animals hits theaters June 6th. And our next trailer...
Don't have to wait too long.
Our next trailer is actually, we watched the teaser for it, I think last month, and it is for the cosmic body horror comedy Together. Directed by Michael Shanks, and stars Dave Franco and his wife Allison Brie.
Okay.
Bede, what you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely down for this one. I've heard nothing but great things about it. And it's also another Aussie horror film as well. I mean, obviously taking place in America, but it's made entirely in Australia. So I think it was actually shot here in Melbourne as well, from what I remember reading up on it. So I'm down for this. It definitely has almost like a Color Out of Space type of feel with it as well, in terms of some of the lighting and also the sort of body horror aspect. So and the trailer, it tells you what it's going to be about, but at the same time it holds back on certain things. So I'm very curious to see where the plot of this movie goes. So I'm definitely down for this.
Lance?
Unlike Companion, this trailer didn't hit us over the head with what's going to happen. So there could be some twist here, and I'm looking forward to that. There's some bizarre stuff, like bodies coming together, or I don't know. It's hard to tell what's going on here, and I like it. I definitely like it. So I'm all in. Again, all in. So far, really good trailers this week.
Bill?
Yeah, I definitely has the Color Out of Space feel to it. That was a good call. I like James Franco. I don't think he's done a whole lot that's awful.
Dave Franco.
That's what I meant.
James is
the little
not
one
allowed to do movies anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, I like them both. But the little Franco, he's a solid actor, man. And I think it looks good. It looks interesting. Yeah, this definitely looks Cronenberg-esque. So we'll see how it goes.
This one hits theaters July 30th. And the movie we were talking about, I think last week, finally dropped a trailer, and that's Stephen King's The Long Walk, from director Francis Lawrence, who I didn't realize directed the first couple of Hunger Game movies.
Oh, okay.
Now, okay.
What's wrong with the Hunger Games?
Not my cup of tea.
The books are way better than the movies, by the way.
Well, I'm just saying he knows how to direct a dystopian future with kids in peril.
Yeah.
Makes sense. True. Very true.
Like
Very true.
It's definitely in his wheelhouse, given that he has been involved with pretty much all of the Hunger Games movies from Catching Fire onwards, because he's directed every installment. So this definitely seems like it's in his wheelhouse, but I can imagine, based on what I've heard about the original book, the book is very dark, very nihilistic, and also quite tragic as well. So I'd imagine another appeal of doing this film, other than being a Stephen King adaptation, is like he can go into that sort of Hunger Games mode, but go even further with it to make it, I am assuming, will most likely be an R-rated film. So I'm definitely curious to see how it turns out. I know this was been in the works for quite a long time, and so people thought it was unfilmable given the subject matter, but yeah, I think it looks really compelling, and it has a great cast that's been assembled as well. And obviously we will cover it on the King Zone podcast. Marcy and I will be in the future. So
of course.
I'm definitely down for this one. It looks really good.
Yeah, in the cast, it's Mark Hamill as the Major, Judy Greer, Garrett Wearing, Ben Wong, Bede, the new Karate Kid.
Yes.
David Johnson, we've seen as the android in Alien Romulus. Pretty good cast.
Yeah,
what do you think, Lance?
It looks solid.
Go ahead.
Oh man, I'm sorry. But yeah, like I think it looks pretty good. It definitely looks like it's based off of a book. And I don't know really anything about it, but it looks like it's going to be good. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Lance, have you read the story?
Oh yeah. This it was a Richard Bachman when it was like one of his earlier ones too. So this one and Salem's Lot were the two Stephen King books that had me feeling so sad that I like actually broke into tears at certain parts. Salem's Lot, there was a really, really dark segment about halfway through where the town was asleep. Most of the town members were asleep, and the way King described it was like super depressing and super dark. And then this book, by the time I finished reading it, I was just like, yeah, nihilistic is the word for sure. If they stick to the book, it's going to be very, very difficult. So let's see if they John Wayne, Chuck Norris Americanize the ending, which would completely fucking suck because you'd lose the entire point of what the story's about. But yeah, I think the casting is phenomenal. Didn't catch Judy Greer in there. Is she like one of the parents of one of the boys, maybe? One of those don't take my boy. I don't know. I didn't see her in the trailer, but Mark
looking
Hamill's
at the trailer now. I'm looking at the trailer now, and it looks like she's the mother of the main kid.
Okay. And if you know Stephen King, you know that the main kid may or may not be the last one standing. So looking forward to it. This is something I've been wanting to see put on film since I read the book, and I hope they don't disappoint.
All right, this hits theaters September 12th. And our final trailer, spoilers, is a movie I'm not looking forward to. The final.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to clarify this. The final appearance of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as the Warrens, not the final Conjuring movie.
Okay.
The Conjuring Last Rites. Now, the reason why I'm not looking forward to this is because it is directed by Michael Chavez, who I've not been a fan of anything he's done.
What has he done?
Yeesh.
He's done
the shittier ones.
He did the last Conjuring movie. He did La Llorona.
The devil made me do it.
He did the Nun movies.
Oh. So cheese.
Yeah.
So basically, James Wan is producing.
Yeah.
Philip.
Damn. That makes me not excited. I was like, cool, another Conjuring movie.
Well,
yeah.
I have heard of this case though. Apparently, it was the Warrens' final case with the Smurl hauntings. I don't know if you guys were ever familiar with that. I think it came. It was like there was like a TV movie that came out in the 90s.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that the Haunting, the Haunted, I think it's called the TV movie.
I think so.
I'm going to be against the grain. I'm looking forward to this. I do enjoy the Conjuring movies for what they are, and I don't think the ones that Michael Chavez has made have been that bad. I think he's definitely getting better with each one because I really liked what he did with the Nun 2, because that felt totally very different from the third Conjuring movie. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do with the third one. So I imagine being that this is going to be at least the last film in the franchise with Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, because I think after this they're probably going to focus on turning the series into a TV show, which I think is actually a pretty interesting idea.
I've heard a rumor that they'll probably recast the Warrens as younger.
Like do more cases that they were involved in, because I want to see that case where that involved a werewolf. Damn it. But yeah, I'm definitely down for this. I'm kind of curious to see where they go with this last one, and I imagine, like, knowing that this is going to be the final one, at least in the film franchise, that I would imagine they're going to go at least all out for this one. So I'm definitely excited, even though I'm probably the outlier in that regard. But that's just me.
High or low, Patrick Wilson sings the outro song.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say he's going to sing the outro song.
Lance, what'd you think?
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it's back to form. The first two Conjuring movies, which were really, really good, but I'm not like holding my breath, but I'm hopeful, and I'll leave it at that.
Well,
yeah, I kind of feel you on that one. I didn't hate The Devil Made Me Do It. It was all right. It wasn't up to expectations, but it wasn't a terrible movie. We'll see how this one does. Hopefully it's good.
This one is IMDb says expected in theaters September 5th. And that's the final trailer.
Well, that's an awkward way to present it.
That's what it says. It says post-production expected September 5th.
All right.
We'll see.
All right. On to listener feedback. This week we shone the podcast spotlight on The Conjecturing, a horror-ish podcast. Speaking of which.
Horror-ish.
A horror-ish comedy podcast. Come for the scares, stay for the laughs. Hosted by Rob, Laura, and Greg. What could
go wrong?
Let's see. Today marks 8 years of the Horror Returns group. Holy nice.
All right.
Thank you for helping us keep this community strong. Marcy Papandrea. Thank you, Marcy.
All right. We know her.
Wow, has it been that long already? Wow. Bede Jermyn says, happy anniversary, guys. Congrats to all the great you've done. Thanks, Bede. You're right here.
I don't know who that guy is. He sounds like a fuckwick.
In regards to Final Destination Bloodlines, Pat Caruso says, can't wait for this movie, hoping it's good. Me too. In regards to Fear Street Prom Queen posters, Beatrix Harper says, these are so neat. They captured the old covers aesthetic beautifully.
Yeah, they're good looking posters. Pretty cool.
The Halloween is Forever podcast says, thanks for the share. We got
You're welcome.
In regards to Toxic Avenger, Drew Stepik says, stand behind Toxie.
All right.
In regards to The Craft, I'm gonna fuck your name up. I'm sorry. Fatih Baltali says this movie is one of the best about witches that I've ever seen. The Craft. Yeah, it's classic.
It's a good one. Yeah. It's a good one.
In regards to In the Search of Darkness, 95 to 99, Danny Thompson says, "Ooh, this looks amazing." I don't know what that is.
Yeah, Brian is into those. What do you think, Brian? Do they get better as they go further in the years, or are they all pretty good?
Yeah, they're all pretty good. Of course, I contributed to the first ones when they did the trilogy of the 80s decade, and I seen the 90 through 94, and it was pretty good. So I'm definitely interested in seeing 95 to 99. Definitely takes you back to that time period.
Yeah. Very long documentaries, aren't they? Like 3-4 hours each.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. In regards to the Together podcast, Together poster, my bad. Adam Bunch says the poster just gave me the creeps. Dang, that's an effective piece.
All right.
And Sinners. Here we go. Dean Borberly says, I'm going to go see it again tomorrow. Just loved it. Was an experience I haven't had before watching a movie.
Right. Agreed.
Good movie.
Yeah, Bede, I never give a 10, but I gave that one a 10.
Nice. And I know it's like one of like 5 movies that you've ever given a 10 to, Lance.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
And that's it for the feedback. Our intro and logos come from Steve Carlton from The Geeks. Original skull artwork comes from Natsulani. And if you'd like to help us out, please consider becoming a Patreon patron. We'll let you pick the movies for a future show at any amount, and for $5 or more a month, also pick a commentary for a future bonus show. All right, on to featured attractions. This week we're doing Cage Rage 2025. Well, sort of. We're going to start with Sympathy for the Devil from 2023.
Close enough. Close enough.
Forced to drive a passenger at gunpoint. Okay. A man finds himself in a high stakes game of cat and mouse. I don't think that's quite. But whatever.
Bad description.
He was forced to drive him at gunpoint. All right.
There you go. Sure.
The director is Yuval Adler, also known for The Secrets We Keep. Writers are Luke Paradise, also known for Lost on a Mountain in Maine.
Okay. Have you seen that one, Bede?
No, I haven't actually, but I kind of want to now.
Yeah.
I know. During a Q&A, the director and producer revealed that the passenger's red hair was a choice made by Nicolas Cage, and that he just showed up with it to set. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Of course.
Not surprised.
The film was originally set in New York during the winter, but was changed to Las Vegas at behest of, you guessed it, Nicolas Cage.
Not a surprise.
We got to do this movie in Vegas, guys. I'm gonna have a Boston accent.
You're right.
It's gonna make total sense.
Sure.
Bede, you want to start us off with Sympathy for the Devil?
Yes. I'm definitely. I'm kind of surprised it's taken me a little while to finally watch this movie, because I remember seeing the trailer
really
a long time ago and thought, okay, this is definitely up my alley. But when you guys organized this episode and paired up with this with The Surfer, I'm like, oh, finally I could get around to watching this movie. And
yeah,
I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. Like, the plot is very simple. Like, at first I thought, oh, is this going to be kind of like basically another variation on the Collateral kind of story, where a guy kidnaps a driver and forces him at gunpoint to take him on these type of like mini missions and stuff like that. Well, obviously I thought, okay, maybe there's a couple little differences here and there, but as the movie kind of goes on, Nicolas Cage's character just becomes so incredibly unhinged and insane and even surprisingly intense that it actually made the film much more interesting to me. Like, I think as a film overall, it is still really good. I really enjoyed it, and I really like the sort of the back and forth between Cage and Joel Kinnaman. So, but the thing is, though, what I kind of liked the most is the unpredictability of Cage's performance, because you don't know what how his character is going to react in certain scenes, because he just Cage. This is a definite Cage rage performance, but it actually really works within the kind of the context of the movie. And I love the fact that every time, whenever Cage is basically going insane, you just see Joel Kinnaman's reactions, and you don't know if Joel Kinnaman is acting that, or is he for real, like, oh, Cage is really insane here at the moment. So
yes.
And that's what made it really entertaining for me as a viewer. And also I was kind of intrigued to know where the story was going to go. Like, definitely I had some ideas, and some of them were confirmed and others that I was a bit surprised by. But yeah, I really dug this movie a lot. Like, is it one of Nick Cage's best films? Definitely not. But is it a really entertaining thriller that kind of takes up a simple concept and just adds a bit more personality and insanity to it? I'm going to say yes. Yes, it does.
Fair enough. Lance, what do you think?
So I was very underwhelmed by the story. I thought that it was an incredibly paint by numbers. I felt that the ending did not have the kind of payoff that I wanted, but most importantly, and this is my own fault, because in my mind I had this grand story put together that Nicolas Cage was actually going to be the devil, and when it turned out that he wasn't, he was just some Boston punk.
Yeah.
You know, and Kinnaman's like, they go to all this trouble to build it up and build it up and build it up, and what terrible things did this guy do? And then, to me, at the ending, it was just kind of anticlimactic. Just my opinion. And by the way, when they roll that car, and they're standing there doing like 30 minutes of back and forth, the cop cars are flashing. How fucking long does it take cops to get down there to see what's going on? They have time to move the guns around and change the bullets and put it in somebody's hand and choke someone out. I'm like, come on, really? And I don't know. His wife's a saint. I mean, by the time this is all over and she has to go through this pregnancy, she would be like, you motherfucker, fuck you, don't even bother showing up now. But she's like, oh, honey, I'm just glad you're okay. But there was one very redeeming quality to this movie, and it was, of course, Sir Nicolas Cage completely freestyling. I swear to God, was this entire? I'd love to know. You didn't mention it in the trivia, Philip, but I wonder if he improvised every single line in this movie. Because you didn't know what was going to come out of this guy's mouth. And he would be like sinister one moment. Oh, man. Cage definitely pulled this one up above what, because I didn't give it a very good, I didn't have a great feeling about it the first time I saw it, because I was so underwhelmed with the story itself. And I was expecting these things that didn't come to be. And I don't know, why were they saying, maybe I am not smart enough to catch it, but like they were saying some, biblical type stuff. And I'm like, there's going to be something bigger here at play. There's something like the guy he's working for maybe is the devil. And none of that was true. And I was underwhelmed by all that. But Nicolas Cage just fucking freestyling with all these crazy things, and the way he was acting, particularly in the diner, was won me over a little bit, I have to say. So liked it more than I didn't like it.
Okay. Brian, what do you think?
What did I think of Car Ride with Maybe the Devil?
Right.
Outside of Cage's performance, I have to say I was completely bored.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any urgency from Joel Kinnaman's character. It was just watching a car ride and a conversation with people. I mean, they even stop at a diner.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching a road trip movie.
Where
The
he
only redeeming quality
people.
is the only redeeming quality is Nick Cage's performance. Because, like I was trying to say, it probably won't say it in IMDb, but I'm sure the script was rewritten by Nicolas Cage as they were
That's
shooting.
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Well, considering every piece of trivia was, yeah, Nick Cage just showed up like this, and this is what he did, so that's what we did. That makes sense.
Set in Vegas.
I do think it would have been cool if it was set in the snow, because that would have gave a little bit something to the movie. Just the cold darkness of the area that they were in. But yeah, outside of Cage's performance, I can't say anything is really redeeming to me. I mean, just watching the movie, I'm just waiting for Cage to just Cage rage out in the movie, and he does. We get the yell, we get the scream, we get the performance. The hairstyle was definitely a choice, but outside of anything else, I can't say that I was entertained by this movie.
Yeah.
That I was gonna say. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I agree with everything Lance said. Nicolas Cage, Nicolas Cage was pretty awesome, as he normally is. Man, he does his thing, and he brings it every time, whether it belongs in the movie or not. And but yeah, the rest of it it's definitely not his best work. Not necessarily for Nick Cage, but just as a movie, it's not like super duper entertaining. Like so I've watched this before, and I started watching it again, and I fell asleep last night, and then I was like, do I really want to rewatch it and start it over again? Not really. So that'll tell you all you need to know. It was Nicolas Cage was awesome, but not a super duper interesting movie. Well, damn, that was quick.
Yeah, I mean, I did learn one important thing in here. Like, anytime your wife is ignoring you and won't get off her cell phone, if there's a grease trap, like with French fries cooking anywhere near, we know what to do with that cell phone, right?
Yeah, just toss it in that motherfucker.
That was educational. Now the side characters, see, I misremembered this movie because I must be thinking of a different movie, because I could have sworn that the guy that was just sitting there, I guess he was a trucker in the diner, and Cage just like yelling obscenities at him and stuff like that. They ended up shooting at him. For some reason, I thought I remembered that guy as having been a cop or something, and he like tried to pull a gun out and come after. But obviously, I'm mixing it up with yet another movie that takes place in a diner with a killer in the diner, because there's so many of them. You know, there was that what was that, Last Stop at Yuma County or whatever from last year? Did you guys see that?
Oh, I probably should have said that in the Cool of the Week. I did watch that because I wanted to see. Because that director is supposed to be doing one of the new Evil Dead movies, so I checked that one out.
That's right.
That one was more entertaining than this movie.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, except for the Nicolas Cage freestyling, which was great.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
I'm not even mad that he didn't follow the script, if there even was one.
Right.
Like, he lost it and did his own thing, and it worked. It didn't make any sense, but it worked.
Yeah, didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, for all that buildup, and look, I love a good slow burn movie. If it's got the payoff at the end, for example, House of the Devil, right? But holy smoke, man, that was just, I don't know, it was more kind of just fizzled out for me, you know? I mean, Kinnaman's a good actor. I mean, I didn't like him the first couple of times I saw him, and I guess maybe I was just angry that he tried to replace Peter Weller as RoboCop, and I'm like, you can't do that. But
hey, that movie was.
No, he's great in that Apple. Yeah, he's great in that Apple TV series where he plays an astronaut, and there's some other stuff he's in. What was that one last year? The Christmas one? Silent Night, right?
Yeah, Silent Night,
talk. Yeah, he was good in that, but I don't know, man. This was a bit flat, a bit flat. Nicolas Cage did pull it over the, the middle territory a little bit for me, but not much.
But like, had he actually been the devil and they worked in some sort of supernatural script to it, I think that could have been awesome.
Yeah,
maybe and then have Arnold show up
throughout the car ride. If there was a little bit more psychological torture or something going on.
Yeah,
maybe him seeing things that maybe is real or maybe is not real.
Because that's sort of what kept me watching it. Is that I thought that maybe
waiting for the devil,
and then like by the end, and you figure out he's just some fucking mobster or something. You're like, all right, well then why does he look like that? That's not the guy I would hire for my crew.
that's how he showed up to the set.
That dude's a loose cannon for sure. You're definitely getting caught.
I mean, are you gonna say no to Nicolas Cage showing up set dressing like that? I'm gonna be like, hell no. He can do whatever he wants.
Just about to say that he didn't even need wardrobe. He showed up dressed like that.
They're like, hey Nick, why do you have red hair?
Definitely.
This character I'm gonna do. Okay. All right, let's go for it.
Well, I think for me, like with this film, like I could definitely see some people being kind of disappointed because I think it, especially like the marketing around this, really hinted like maybe Nicolas Cage's character is the actual devil.
Right.
But I think what's interesting, and I kind of knew going into it, like from what I've heard from people before I even saw it, that it wasn't really the case. So I kind of went into it without that expectation. But I think what's interesting about the film is like the title itself does have a bit of a double meaning, Sympathy for the Devil, because like you got that sort of scene in the diner when Nick Cage does talk about sympathy, and you could see it as like, and him kind of making fun of Joel Kinnaman's character for saying that he has a family and stuff like that, trying to gain trying to gain some sympathy, from the devil. But of course, Nick Cage doesn't do that. But then at the end, it kind of flips that a little bit, where you realize, oh, you actually have sympathy for Nick Cage's character because he, even though as unhinged as he is a man who is dealing with grief, and also Joel Kinnaman's character is the actual real villain of the entire film. And then when he does kill Nick Cage at the end, it has this sort of coldness to it, even though like this character's also tried to redeem himself because he didn't want to kill Nick Cage's wife and daughter, but he ended up doing it. So yeah, it's kind of like a title with a double meaning, and I could see it being a little anticlimactic, but I like how the movie kind of switches gears at the last minute, that the person you think is the victim is actually the real villain of the story, and the person you think is the villain is the actual victim. So I think it's kind of interesting how the film plays with that, and also the title kind of gives a double meaning to it as well.
Yeah.
But like through the whole movie until the end, like there's not really any, like, it just seems like Nicolas Cage is a crazy person. You're not even really wondering, well, is this really the guy that did it?
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's an artistic choice that they went that direction, but like he seemed like he had no idea who this person was. Yeah. And was like not. And then it ended up actually being the guy that killed his family. And you're like, well, seems like there would have been some clues earlier, but there wasn't at all. It's like they just decided to do that at the end of the movie.
But in a way, it's kind of like it plays around with that a little bit, because you're thinking to yourself, like, at first, like, oh, is this like a collateral type of situation where it's just Joel Kinnaman's character is the character who is in the wrong place at the wrong time. And who's just been forced into this mission. But then you kind of think, oh, maybe he might have something to do with it. But or then it kind of switches around, thinking like maybe Nick Cage is, honestly, for a while there, I honestly thought, and maybe this is just me thinking this would have been a pretty good idea if it went into that direction, is like the person Nick Cage thinks is the person that Joel Kinnaman is wasn't that person. And it just ends up that he put this innocent guy through this complete nightmare for no reason because he mistaken him for someone else. And I thought that
would have been funny.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, it would have been funny. Like, I like how the movie, at least totally, and with the script, it kind of plays around with that. Like, those are the things I sort of got out from it, but I could definitely say at the same time, like, those type of aspects don't work for everybody. But I kind of strangely got that out of it, which is kind of weird.
All right. Scores. Bede, what do you think?
I'm sort of thinking about it, and I thought about it last night, and I was thinking about it again, even after this conversation. But I'm going to stick with this rating. I'm going to actually give it an 8 out of 10. Ooh. I really dug it a lot.
Wow. Okay.
I think if the movie didn't have Nick Cage in it, or some of its interesting ideas, I would say it would probably be more of a 6. But I think sort of the interesting elements that I picked up on, and Nick Cage's completely unhinged performance definitely elevated it for me, where I was just completely enthralled from beginning to end, because I was like, I kind of need to see where this is going, especially with that type of performance that Cage is giving. Like, is it one of Nick Cage's best films? Definitely not, but I did find it entertaining, and it's definitely better than a lot of the stuff that he was making during the 2010s that went straight to video. Well, believe me, I've seen quite a number of them, but I did enjoy this one overall.
All right, Lance, what do you think?
Well, because of Nick Cage, he adds at least 2 extra points to it, so I'll give it a 6. I liked it more than I didn't.
All right, Brian?
If we would have had Bede rewrite this movie the way he just did, I would have gave it an 8, but it's right there in the middle. It's a 5. And all 5 of those points are for Nick Cage.
All 5?
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with Lance again here, man. I think it's a 6. And that is solely because of Nick Cage's performance. He brought this movie to a new level, and where had he not been in the movie, you probably never would have seen this. But
good point. Someone like Dane DeHaan, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Dane DeHaan could have totally pulled that role off. But not in the same way that Nick Cage did, man. I like that he played it
not
in
the same way.
That worked. Yeah. All right. So mostly worth it. Check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
All right. On to the new one. The Surfer from 2025. A man returns to the idyllic beach of his childhood to surf with his son. When he's humiliated by a group of locals, the man is drawn into a conflict that keeps rising and pushes him to his breaking point. Director,
was he humiliated?
Yeah, kind of in front of his kid. Director is Lorcan Finnegan, also known for Vivarium. That was a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Writer is Thomas Martin, also known for Ripper Street. Haven't seen that. At a screening at Glasgow Film Festival 25, director Lorcan Finnegan said that the snake featured in the film bit Nicolas Cage on the hand for real. There's the
ultimate method actor.
There's your little bit of trivia for the day.
And interesting.
The snake was poisoned by Nicolas Cage.
Right. And died 2 hours later.
Yeah. He's like Chuck Norris, but like without fighting.
Right.
Exactly.
Bede, what'd you think about this one?
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of loved this movie.
Yeah,
I figured this was right up your alley. As soon as I was watching,
this is a Bede movie. Yeah, I had a feeling.
Well, I think the reason why I loved it so much, I mean, it is set in Australia. Although my only disappointment with the movie is Nicolas Cage is meant to be an Australian character, but he doesn't have an Australian accent in it at all, which upsets me. But to be fair,
he got Americanized.
I was going to say, I wish he kind of tried it too, because he could have gone around and says like, "G'day, mate. Where's me, Nicolas Cage? I'm gonna put the shrimp on the Barbie. Where's a kangaroo so I can ride it?" Anyways, But the movie does say that he has lived in America most of his life. But and so he has the American accent. But what I really liked about this movie, it kind of goes into a lot of toxic masculinity as well.
Sure.
Which is something that, like a common theme that pops up in Cage's work every now and again, because we even talked about this in Vampire's Kiss as well. But I think what's interesting about this one, now, I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but watching this movie, it reminded me of a pretty fantastic Australian film from the 70s called Wake in Fright, which is basically like this outsider who goes to a small country town in Australia, and he gets caught up with the locals, and he kind of descends into madness. So I would be surprised if Lorcan Finnegan and the writer just took a lot of inspiration from that movie, because that film also has a lot of psychological elements as well.
Okay.
And kind of and I liked how this film kind of escalates with this story, because obviously Cage is there with his son. He wants to show like the place he grew up in, and then once he goes down to the beach and has to run in with the surfers. And in Australia, like we do, there have been cases where a lot of surfer groups are very territorial of beaches where they won't.
That's a surfer thing everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, and I mean, we even see it in like Point Break as well.
Yeah.
So, and even though like he's like, "Oh, I used to live here. I was an Australian," he was like, and they're like, "No, get the fuck away from here, man." And so he feels humiliated, and his son feels humiliated. So, in a way, it's kind of like him.
You take your son and your tiny packer and you go back up to the hill.
That's actually a pretty good Aussie accent.
I know,
that wasn't bad at all. Yeah.
And the interesting thing is too, like he's like dead set on staying on this beach to kind of go up against this surfer group, and then it kind of escalates from there when they steal his surfboard, and then he calls the police, and then he realizes the police or at least the cop that he deals with is maybe involved with this gang.
So they basically
a complete dickhead. And it kind of escalates from there, and is like how this surfer gang is kind of tormenting him, and how in a way he's like so dead set in his ways of wanting to kind of pay back against this gang, that it kind of sets him on a path of self-destruction and madness. And seeing Nicolas Cage like going around dealing with this, like the Australian landscape, was pretty interesting. I mean, we do see him with a snake, and from what I remember, I don't think that snake in Australia is a poisonous one, so thank goodness it wasn't poisonous. But, you know, he has to deal with, yes, exactly. And not only does he have to deal with, like, snakes, he also has to deal with shit on a drinking fountain. He has to deal with a coffee vendor just being an absolute dick to him. But again, it's kind of an interesting thing, like, but then again, it kind of goes into, it's like, is all of this in his head? Or is there something else going on?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I really liked about the film a lot, because it does play with that. Obviously, we do get a proper resolution to what is going on in the third act. But I think it's actually a pretty well done, very Australian feeling, even though it's made by Irish filmmakers, like psychological thriller. And also Julia McMahon, Doctor Doom, the original Doctor Doom.
Yeah, I did not
Dr.
recognize
Doom
him at all.
and the Nip Tuck.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was in Nip Tuck, if you guys ever saw that.
Yeah, I didn't even click. I knew I'd seen him somewhere.
I thought he was really good as like the leader of this surfer gang. And again, with his character, there's a lot of interesting things that feel almost like they put a little bit of an Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson kind of elements in this character, where he's like saying like, oh, men today have to be surfers, have to be tough, and I was like, oh, we're gonna be men.
Sure.
The
like manosphere.
Exactly. But I think it's actually a pretty interesting film. And of course, Cage even has the occasional Cage Rage moment where even at one point he grabs a rat and it's like, eat the rat. But yeah, I really like this movie a lot.
All right, Lance.
I may be the dissenting voice tonight on this one. I did not like this at all. I thought this was all over the place. I thought it was incredibly confusing. And I know that was the point. And I get everything you're talking about, Bede. I think there could have been a better way to show the toxic masculinity and the way that someone emerges as the alpha and that kind of thing, and what that can all lead to and whatnot. But to me, it was just a bit of a mess. I mean, it was completely all over the place. It had me thinking halfway through the movie, is he actually that homeless guy? And is he like, is this all going on in his mind? Is this like a American Psycho type thing where you don't know what's really happening and what's not? But at the end, like Bede said, they did kind of wrap it up a little bit in a bit of a neat bow. So you kind of know most of it was going on. Obviously, when he thought every single person was staring right at him and laughing in that one scene, I'm sure that was in his head. But yeah, I don't know, man. Number one, why would this guy be a big of an imbecile to just fucking stay there and slowly lose everything? And how is it that everybody was so much in on it that even that coffee shop guy did what he did? I'm trying to dance around spoilers because there is some weird.
Dr. Doom's the guru.
Well,
yeah, I know, but
if you're
like
going to dig into why everybody's doing something, the movie's going to fall apart.
Well, I think also too it does establish like he's not only is he the leader of this gang, he's also like a well-known, influential figure in the community. Like he also is like because they kind of established all these surfer guys all come from pretty well-known backgrounds. They're ambulance drivers, they're cops, they're businessmen, or they work for real estate companies. And Julia McMahon's character is like a well-known kind of figure. So it's almost like
Nick Cage's character even knew who he was.
Yeah, and so it's essentially like he uses his money and influence to kind of control these people into almost like this cult-like status. And maybe there's a little bit of Trumpism there too as well. So it's kind of an interesting thing that the movie...
That's a stretch, maybe.
Okay, maybe not full-blown,
well, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. And to me, there were like a lot of really herky-jerky things. Like, for example, in the early part of the movie, he's like with his son. And I don't know. I thought maybe something was going to come of that didn't. And then the son disappears for the longest time. And
like,
I know you got weird flashbacks. And then what's that, Brian?
He dropped him off at home.
And
yeah, I know.
In the parking lot to take a call for some reason.
Yeah, why would he just keep staying there? And then he waits. I don't want to get too far into how far it goes, but waits for a certain person overnight, and it's like see, I started thinking the more he started looking the way he was, that's why I thought maybe he was the homeless guy the whole time, and it was just like in his mind or whatever. But I don't know, man. Would anybody really be this fucking stupid to just sit out there and go through all this fucking shit and not leave, not just fucking simply leave. I mean, I get it. It's obsession, as you were saying,
yeah,
Bede, but you know, I'm not. I mean, I have a slightly different score than you. I think when we go round robin. That's all I'll say.
Well, I think also too, sort of thinking about it now is again kind of going into that sort of toxic masculinity, not just with the surfers being like this.
But it wasn't even really toxic masculinity. It was just guys being assholes.
Yeah, exactly. But also at the same time, you got Cage wanting to, because I would imagine Cage like thinks like since he hasn't lived in this town for quite a long time, he just reckons he's part of the locals. And he
should have said that from the get-go.
He did.
The minute the first guy walked up to him, he should have said, I am a local. My house is right up there. You know, exaggerated a little. Like he already had the house.
Look, I'm buying it.
But isn't that what they tell you?
I belong here, if he would have said he's a local and lied about his house over there, they would have probably went down a lot harder on him for lying, because I'm sure the locals know who lives there.
Exactly. And let's
and
also too, and also too,
his board and destroying his car.
And also too, with I could imagine like there's already a hint of craziness with Cage, like even before he's just like, because I can also see like this is an obsession. He wants to move back to this town to the point where it literally becomes it becomes his obsession to do it, and he just wants to, you know, because basically he wants to prove to his son that, you know, we belong here too. But obviously, it drives him insane. And again, that's the whole thing. Like when we become obsessed with something, it just literally drives us insane.
It definitely had a little bit of an Eden Lake vibe to it, right?
Oh yeah, kind of.
You know, with the town where everybody's kind of in on it. They're all assholes, and they're, you know, at a beach setting. That was a lake, but this is a sea, but it's still kind of a beach setting. I don't know.
Brian?
Just a thought I had.
What do you think, Brian?
My turn?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm kind of on Bede's side. I really enjoyed this one. I like the slow burn aspect to it. This was a more subdued Cage Rage movie for me, because he wasn't outright just screaming and going wild. It was a slow descent into insanity. And another thing I don't think anybody really brought up, I like the retro feel to it, especially with the title card and the font and everything. Just kind of
that's
puts
true.
you in
the beginning of the music and everything.
I almost wasn't sure what time period this was set in with the retro look of it.
Yeah.
But then of course he had the modern phone. And I thought the movie did an excellent job of keeping you thinking what was real and what was not. Because like Lance, you brought up with the bum, I kind of was like, are you not who you say you are? Or, you know, because their stories were kind of almost lining up.
Yeah.
And I just took his reason for staying there was just maybe he was a little bit stubborn with the fact that he was born there and he grew up there, that maybe he had just every right to be there as the locals, because in his mind, I'm local too, so I'm not going to leave.
Well, they don't own the fucking beach. How about that?
Well,
but yeah, I actually had a great time with this, and
most people did. I think it's like 85% on Rotten Tomatoes last time I checked.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. That is a part of surfer culture. Like there are some really territorial surfers, and if you're not a local, you're not surfing that spot. And they will absolutely kick the shit out of you if they have to.
So that's a real thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's for sure a real thing. Like all over, not just Australia. But most of those are kids that have nothing. Like they've got a board and that's it.
Right.
There's 20 of them living in one house and they all surf on the same spot every day. It's not leaders of the community.
Okay. Right.
But
well, that's the twist, right?
Yeah, I guess. But I did think that they did a really good job of kind of subverting and keeping you guessing the whole time in the movie and trying to figure out what exactly was going on, because I had the same thought with the old man. And then it was like is he just crazy? Is any of this really happening? I'm not sure, you know?
Sure. Yeah, of
And
course.
I like the way that they did that. I was maybe, I don't know what I was expecting with the ending, but maybe something a little different. And I think with a different ending, they really could have stuck the landing. With it the way that it was, it seems a little insane. So I think I'm kind of undecided. I'm sort of in the middle on this one. Like I wanted to like it more than I actually did. So there's that.
Fair enough. Yeah, I wanted to see Nicolas Cage kill them all with a surfboard.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
And a bloody ending. But yeah,
spoilers.
We can't get everything we want.
We gotta go scores first. All right. Bede, what's your score?
I no shock from me at all. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I really like this movie a lot.
Okay.
Maybe it's because also since it is yeah, I think also too because it is being that it is set in Australia, there are a lot of things really, even though it's made by Irish filmmakers, it definitely really captures the Australian feel, and which I find really fascinating. And I feel like there are definitely things even like in Australian ways of life, and also what we see here in terms of the media, in terms of how it approaches some of these surfer gangs and stuff like that. It sort of really does capture that quite well. And yeah, I think the movie does a really good job as a really compelling psychological thriller, but also having this great performance from Nicolas Cage that, like, he has the oddball. He does the occasional like cage rage bit, but for most part, he really does a commendable job of really getting us into the mindset of this character, whether he's experiencing madness or not.
Yeah. Lance?
So what was your score again?
9 out of 10.
B, what was your score again? 9. Holy moly. Okay, wow. You know what? I think if you want to, put down your $10, and see Nick Cage tortured for an hour straight, then you gotta get in line for this movie.
It does get a little uncomfortable.
For me, this was a 3 on 10 for me, Bede. Sorry, man. I just thought the story was kind of all over the place for me, and the ending was just too woo woo. So it's a 3. I'd like to say maybe on a rewatch it'll be different, but I'm not going to rewatch this one.
I might. I'll watch the shitty copy. Brian, what do you think?
What is a woo woo ending? I'm confused on that one.
Kind of out there. It's like, were they holding his head underwater and he was talking the whole time, or was that just the hallucination? Were they giving him ayahuasca? I don't know.
It's one of Nick Cage's abilities is to speak underwater.
And work while he's on a lot of drugs.
This is an easy 8 on 10 for me. I thought the acting was fantastic. We haven't talked a lot about Julian McMahon. Like I said, I did not recognize him at all. I think I was right there with you, Phil, how you thought you knew him, but you weren't sure what you knew him from.
Like, he looked familiar, but it wasn't even enough for me to go, oh, I know that guy. It was like, okay, anyway.
Right.
I love the retro aspect of it. And Lance, I didn't think it was all over the place. I thought that was just going along with the movie. The whole fact that you didn't know what was real, what was not real, where the story was going. And I loved it. I think this is one of his best performances in a while. So 8 out of 10.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, so I think if you're going to drive somebody to that level of insanity, especially Nicolas Cage, he's probably going to get violent way earlier. But we'll get into that. I'm gonna go 6 for now, and with the right to raise it later if I want to. I definitely want to watch it again. It's not what I expected it to be, for sure. I don't know what I was expecting, but not this.
Yeah, for sure.
It was an interesting movie.
All right.
It kept me entertained, and I was with it the whole time. And a little bit like the last movie, like I think I just wanted something different to happen at the end. I don't know what the different thing is, but something that wasn't what was shown to us.
I think that's what I enjoyed about it was I think I came in expecting his character to have a Mandy performance.
Yeah.
But I got something different out of it.
Yeah.
Like
I was hoping for that, but yeah, it is.
Listen, they're being dicks. He's being a regular human being, and he's like, I'm not gonna get in a fight with these assholes. And everything sort of seems to work. But like once they stole his surfboard, that's it, dude. we're ending this. You're either gonna beat my ass or I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Spoilers.
The violence should have started, honestly, with the guy that purposely knocked his coffee into his face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's an ass whooping for sure.
That wasn't an accident.
After he gave his father's watch and his cell phone as collateral.
Yeah.
You walk off with your coffee, and 10 seconds later, someone's like, hey, and you turn around and knock it into your face.
Yeah. There's no way you're not jumping on top of that guy.
he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there taking it.
And then we kind of find out that guy who knocked the coffee in his face is one of the surfer gang as well, a little bit later on.
Big conspiracy, right? Everybody's in on it.
And another thing we didn't,
like a cult.
Another thing I don't think none of us brought up was one of his motivations to stay there and to get that house he grew up in was also to fix his marriage.
Yeah,
because he was still had this mindset that he could fix his marriage, even though we find out later she's with somebody and is pregnant.
Moved on. Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen.
That's what I was kind of sad for him, man. Like the whole movie, I felt really bad
his
for Nicolas Cage. And
his saddest performance since leaving Las Vegas, for sure.
And it was like, man, every single person just treated him like a piece of garbage, and he didn't do anything about it.
Exactly, and you kind of see like how not just with Nick Cage, but also that other homeless guy as well, like on how they treated him. So again, when the film kind of plays up, like, are Nick Cage and the homeless guy one and the same, or are they two completely different people? And then you find out that the homeless guy was also kind of a victim of that gang as well. And the reason why he's there is that, like, he believes they had something to do with his son's death. And then Nicholas, and also too, when you kind of find out it towards the end, like the reason why all of this has happened to Nick Cage was this kind of initiation performed by the surfer gang to drive him to see how far they can push it. Because Julia McMahon sees something in Cage,
right,
and he wants to kind of see, like, maybe if we push him, drive him a little insane, he truly is one of us. Like, if he is a local, as he claims to be, let's push him and as like a hazing or an initiation. And if he
like fraternity hazing on steroids.
Exactly.
If you smack a guy in the face with a wooden sign, he's not just going to get up with a cut. Like, that guy's dead. Especially
they were like
falling into the water.
Well, maybe he pulled his punch.
I think they were like, maybe that's around the time where they're like, yeah, maybe we need to like stop this right now because someone could actually die
All right, we've taken it too far.
Like bum fights.
Exactly. It literally is a bum fight when you kind of think about it.
That dude had it coming, though. I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind of all of them, really, because
right,
then, of course, the homeless guy goes insane and like pulls a gun out on all of them.
Sure.
And it basically lines them all up, and you kind of see how these surfer guys, their real personalities come out, because now when they're faced in a situation that actually is life or death,
real danger. Yeah,
real danger, they like all start breaking down and crying. And it's like, yeah, well, this whole movie shows you guys aren't as tough as you think you are. Like,
yeah,
push comes to shove,
yeah,
you could
probably
get killed.
Typical bullies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Should have pulled that out earlier.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe
right,
after they killed your son and your dog.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, those guys would have been fucking dead. I'd be in jail, and that's it.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. There's not really that much to spoil, right? I mean, it's not like one of those big, twist endings or anything like that. But what was the significance of him seeing the water over him, Bede? Like when they were holding him down underwater, but he was talking, or
I think
or was he tripping? Did he slip him some kind of hallucinogen, or?
Well, I think with because you do see a lot of sort of sequences where he sees himself in the water and water splashing around him, but I think it's meant to be like, because he does mention that his father killed himself like when he was younger, so I think it's just those kind of like flashbacks to that, because he shot himself and then fell into the water. So I think it's a kind of a case like that's we find out those flashbacks are those for the action, like those are the reason why he's having those flashbacks, but at the same time the movie is playing around with that, like, is this like Nick Cage, because we never see the guy's face when he's face down in the water, and he's kind of looks exactly like Cage, but then we realize no.
Yeah, I thought that too for a minute. Yeah,
but then you realize, oh, these are just flashbacks to his dad killing himself. So,
but like, I was confused all the way up until the end. Like, even after the movie ended, I was like, wait, did I miss something? Like, was he the old man? What was going on?
Oh no, his Nick Cage's dad wasn't the old man. No.
I think they established that by the end.
Yeah. Like, he was a completely different character who has his own vendetta against the surfer gang. Although I think essentially, I guess for him, he didn't pass the test of being initiated by them.
Yeah,
wasn't it basically?
That's okay.
Wasn't it basically confirmed that he really was who he was when he ran into that photographer for the second time?
Yeah.
She showed him the picture.
Yeah. And that's where it sort of started to click there.
That's true.
But even when they had the picture of him in front of the Lexus or whatever it was that he was driving, I was like, well, is he just a homeless guy standing in front of an expensive car, and he's still?
I know. I thought that too. For
I don't know.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Because at that point in the film, I was convinced he. I was convinced he was the bum.
Yeah.
At that point in the film, but all right. Anyway, I knew I would be the odd man out, but that's cool.
Why show the bum?
It was no night swim
throwing shit onto the water fountain. Except it was the only way that he couldn't get to the water, I guess. And then for some reason there was a dog.
Dog, yeah.
Whose dog was that?
I think it belonged to the surfers.
The lady?
Yeah, that's, and also too, like, pretty much it's almost like we're almost denying water and food to Nick Cage's character, because he barely eats or drinks at all.
Drinking out of a puddle, man.
Pure torture.
And also eating
slowly stealing everything from him. Yeah,
there's water in the back of those toilets.
Look pretty appetizing. Yeah, that's true. All right, Bede. Where can everybody find you that's new to the show? Because we have new listeners that don't know where you are.
Well, if people want to find me personally out there on the internet, you can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd under Bede Jermyn. You can find all my work and all the other podcasts that I co-host with Super Marcy on the Super Network over on supermarcy.com and all podcast streamers everywhere. And if people want to hear my solo show, Bede versus the Living Dead, you can listen to that on all podcast streamers everywhere as well. And also there are spin-off shows there too, so give those a listen on the Bede vs. the Living Dead podcast feed.
Yeah, Camp Crystal Lake, etc. So
exactly.
What are you doing next? Amityville Horror? Bede versus the Amityville Horror?
Well, I thought about doing the Amityville series, but Brian kind of stole my thunder there for he started doing it.
I don't know. Coming back.
Yes.
Sounds like there's enough movies to go around.
I mean, there's like
I think we could each do one for a lifetime.
I mean, I think I was like on Tubi Tuesday the other day because we were trying to like look for possible ideas for movies, and then we ran into Amityville Bigfoot.
Oh God!
And I think I saw like there's Amityville Backpack, Amityville AI,
Backpack,
Amityville Toilet.
Yes. And then there's the one that
douche.
I mean, there's one that I'm fascinated by. It's called Amityville Vibrator.
That was close,
well,
Philip.
Definitely have to watch that one.
So there's haunted. Like 40 movies in that franchise.
Oh man, always fun to have you here, man. Nick Cage and an Australian film. We couldn't have planned that better, you know?
Exactly. It's Nick Cage in both Boston. Well. Nick Cage is both a Bostonian and also an Australian. G'day, mate. Where's my Red Sox? Wow.
Yeah, it's the same accent in both movies.
Exactly.
Kinda. Oh man. Well, you guys can find us at thehorrorreturns.com or email us at thehorrorreturns@gmail.com. Next week we're gonna check out the brand new Clown in a Cornfield. And what's the other? 1996 is The Clown at Midnight. So Bede, until the horror returns again.
Good night.